Narrative Pro is a professional-grade gameplay framework for Unreal Engine, and in 2.1 we're shipping an amazing mount system that works with any type of vehicle. We include a sedan and helicopter as examples, but you can really set up any type of mount you want, like horses for example. Mounts support both player and AI-based driving, and we've even added carjacking mechanics. Mounts support both third-person and true first-person camera views. We have iCade steering wheel set up, and vehicles like any actor in Narrative Pro can be saved to disk. So I could park a car here, save my game, and it's right where I left it when I came back. These are features that can take months or years to make, and with Narrative Pro, you're basically getting them as soon as you install the plugin. So today we're going to show you how to use mounts to get your player and NPCs driving and flying and horse riding around. Okay, so after you follow the install guide, you will be here in this main demo map. Go ahead and click the dots and go to current camera location because we want to start playing over here by the Felix NPC. Felix is an NPC that we added to kind of assist with showing people how the driving works. So if you come over here and click the green play button, you will be able to load in. And because I want to play beside Felix basically every time, I'm going to show you how the blue play button works here. We're going to press Shift Escape, save our game into slot 1, and if we select slot 1 in the play settings, I can now click the blue button. And this is really useful because no matter where I am, I can click that and I will always automatically load that save. This is really useful if you're like testing a certain part of a quest. You can imagine how annoying it would be to have to replay the quest over and over. So we're going to use that, and we're going to spawn right in by Felix here. And I'll just start by showing off some of the features. So if we talk to Felix, we've sort of set this quest up so that he can drive you, you can both drive, or you can drive him. The point of this is just to show you that you can really do any sort of driving behavior that you would want with Narrative Pro. So we'll start with the show your driving option. We'll get Felix to basically drive us. And if I look at the car and press the semicolon key, you can see these slots appear. These are interaction slots. This is the interaction system that comes with Narrative Pro. And they're pretty powerful. With the sedan, it will sort of select the slots as a priority. So if the driver's seat is taken, it will default to selecting the passenger seat. So I can be over here, press E to get in, and it's going to take me over to the passenger seat, and I'm going to get in the car. You can swap between third and first person views in the car. And you'll notice that the NPC didn't just drive off, he waited for us. And that's because we configured his goal to basically tell him, hey, you need to actually wait for the player to get in the car. So there's a lot of small things like that that you might not think about that we've kind of taken care of. And you can see that I can go into first person in the car as well. You can see that the steering is actually working. The hands are IKing onto the steering wheel. So there's some pretty complicated stuff here. You can get out of a car in first person. Lots of little things like that that really add up. And you can see we can run over here. And this is sort of part of a quest. There's like a little cinematic that plays here and stuff, but I won't go too into that because I don't think it's that important. I want to just keep on the mounts. So I'm going to click that blue play button to load back in right before we talked to Felix. And this time I'm going to talk to him. And instead of saying, you're driving, we could say, let's both drive. You can also see climbing and mantling is in 2.1, which is really nice. And so we could actually both drive now. And this is basically the same configuration, but this time Felix is not configured to wait for me to get into the car. He's just going to start driving. You can see there's a little dialogue that plays as well. And we'll go back and then I'll just show you the last option as well. If we walk up to Felix and say, sure, let me drive, it's going to cause Felix to follow you, and the follow goal by default will make the NPC come along with you on any mount that you get on, if there is space. So just to show you that, if I was to get into this red sedan here, Felix is going to recognize that I'm on a mount, and he's going to see, okay, I need to get onto this mount. The yellow slot that you saw there, by the way, means that an NPC is targeting the slot. And now we can drive off. And these slots may look like these smart objects that come with Unreal Engine, but this is actually a completely bespoke system that we wrote. I'll just actually go back. I want to show you as well. When I say that the NPC can come along on any mount, I really do mean it. So we actually added this helicopter. This is definitely more of a mess around vehicle. It's definitely a lot more basic and less fleshed out than the sedan is. But nonetheless, you can still use it. And I'll just spawn in here and show you that Felix will actually come along with me on the helicopter as well. If I was to use that, we can say, let me drive.
Alright, you drive then, but
He's going to follow me.
make sure you don't crash my car, because it's got a really epic engine.
And you can see that when I get into the helicopter, he's going to come along with me on the helicopter. He's going to try and get into it. And mounts are ridden in a pretty generic way where they really do kind of just work for any vehicle type. It's pretty awesome. You can see I can fly around with the helicopter. It's obviously pretty basic, and the goal for the quest is to drive over to the bandit camp, so I'll just show you that we can do that, and it will work perfectly fine. I can even go into first person in the helicopter. We haven't set up the steering wheel for this one. Like I said, the helicopter's a little bit more just something that we added, messing around, and then we thought, may as well ship it in the plugin. But we would like to flesh the helicopter out a bit more in future releases. But you can see I can bring the helicopter down. I can get out. And the Felix character will get out as well. And if you want to know more about like how NPCs will just automatically know to get in the same vehicle with me and stuff, I would recommend watching the AI video that we did, which talks about the utility AI setup that sort of is how the AI are powered in Narrative Pro. And yeah, you can see the quest works. Even if I use a helicopter to get us here. Pretty cool. So I actually need to do a proper video talking about how interaction slots work in Narrative Pro, but mounts use that system. And so if I was to go over to one of the chairs here in the demo level, it's actually not the best one. We'll go over to this seat. That's a lot better because you can see the slots. So if I click on this, you can see that there are these green interaction slots, and the chair is actually a little bit custom. It's got these blue slots added as well. And if you look, there's this kind of seat interactable. So an interactable component is a component that you can add to any actor to give it interaction, and it has these interaction slots. And if you know about game playability system, basically it will run a gameplay ability to make you sit on the couch here. So if I actually go to the couch and expand this, you'll actually find in here, you can see here, slot interact behavior. You can go to this and it's GA interact sit. So this is the actual thing that makes you sit on a couch. And I'll just show you this. If I was to, I'm going to turn off my blue play button. Or actually, you don't even need to. You can just click the green one and it should spawn me at the camera here. There's actually a couple of NPCs that are configured to use this couch, but I can use it as well because Narrative Pro's interaction supports both AI and players. And you can see it sits me down. And if I press the semicolon, you can see that the slots are all red. I just want to show you a little bit about this interaction system before we get onto the mounts, because that's kind of how the mounts are built out. So if you click on this couch, it has an interactable component. An interactable component has interaction slots on it. And these slots have a transform. So you can see I can move the slots around. And you want to set these up depending on how your animations are configured. Slots have a interact behavior object, and on that is the actual ability to run that will sit you down. If I actually go to GA interact sit, this is the actual code that will sit my character down. The handle interaction event will basically grab some sit data, like the seat that I'm trying to sit on and stuff like that. And then it will like play the, first of all, walk me to the actual sit down location. And then it should play the sit down animation. And then it should then attach me to the seat at some point, I believe. So you can see there's quite a bit going on. Sitting is one of those features that's actually surprisingly quite complex. But if you have a look at how the sitting works, this is the finish sitting. So when you press E, it will finish the interaction. It will get you out of the car or get you off of the seat or whatever. And you can see that this will basically play the get up animation, and it will put you back into the walking movement mode so you can start walking around again and so on. So I would recommend starting with the seat and just see if you can understand the code flow of sort of how the seat's working. You don't have to know every tiny little piece, but as long as you can sort of follow the comments here and roughly see what's happening, like, oh, okay, it's walking me to the seat location, it's playing the sit down montage, and so on. You'll be in a pretty good place at that point. So the reason I'm showing you GA Interact Sit is because GA Interact Mount, which is what makes you drive vehicles around, is actually coded in a fairly similar way. I'm going to click on the car here, and you can see that the car has the same setup. It's got a interaction component or an interactable component added to it. And you can see that the sedan has 4 interaction slots. And if I expand the slots, you can see that we've got sedan driver, sedan passenger front right, back left, back right, and so on. And if I search for this, sedan driver, this is the behavior that gets me into the car. So I can open up sedan driver here, and you can see it uses this slot behavior mount. And if you go into slot behavior mount, this is basically all of the information that the mount behavior needs. It's got the, get into the car. It's got all the vehicle open door animations, all the character get into car animations. But importantly, it has that interact ability, GA interact mount. So this is kind of all of the data for the mount. And then this GA interact mount is the actual ability that makes you get into the car. It's the actual logic. So if I click on browse to, I can open up GA interact mount and I can see how it works. You really don't need to know that much about how the mount works in order to set a mount up. Well, we'll set a mount up in a second. I am going to very quickly explain how mounts work under the hood, even though you probably won't need to touch this code too much. So if you look at step 1 here, you can see handle interaction. When I press E, it's going to grab some data that it needs. It's going to walk me to the car get in location. It adds a bunch of tags to the player. You don't need to worry too much about these. These will just kind of affect how the animation system works so that everything looks nice. It will then play the get in montage. We will then grab the car and play the car open door montage because there's actually 2 things that need to play montages. And then we actually need to play a third animation on the existing person that's in the car if we want to pull them out of the car. Finally, we will basically warp your character into the driver's seat, which uses the motion warping feature in Unreal Engine. You can see here, once we actually get into the seat of the car, we call this function called possess mount, and this is what makes you actually start driving the car around. So you might want to do some modification of this. It's pretty complex, so I think a lot of beginners won't want to touch this, but if you're a little bit more advanced and you want to add your own customizations in here, you can come into this ability and basically just change how it works. So in order to set up a mount, you will need to have quite a few things. So for a vehicle, you obviously need the car door open and close animations and so on. You need the animations for the character getting in and out of the car as well. And so to kind of simulate how you would plug all of those in, I'm going to take the car here and I'm basically going to make a clone of it and just kind of reset it up and show you how you would go about doing that. And one of the easiest ways that I can do that is if I actually just duplicate the car. So I'm going to hold Alt and drag the car out. Ah, it's duplicated the mesh. Make sure you click this top bit of it and then drag out, and then it will duplicate the entire car. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down to the car interaction. I'm going to go to the interaction slots, and I'm just going to remove all of them. So this car is no longer interactable. It doesn't have any interaction slots. And if I was to run up to this car in the game, I'm going to click the green button here. I can run up to the car, try and get in it, and nothing will happen. It will not let me get in this car because there's no interaction slots. So let's add an interaction slot. So we'll go to the car down here. I'm going to add an interaction slot. And there's a few things that we need to set up. The first thing you want to set up is where does your player need to walk to before they get onto the mount? And your animator will provide you with this offset that you need to plug in. So, for example, when our animator made the get into the car animation, they told us that you want to go -40, -160, and 90. So if I actually copy that slot transform from this car, you can just plug that in here. And you feel free to manually type that in as well, will work. And you can see that we now have this sort of slot, and it's green, and it's pointing over here. But we don't have any interact behavior, so when you actually press E to interact with the car, it will not do anything. It will not get you into the car. So in order to make it do something, we're going to click on the slot interact behavior. And I sort of made these pre-set up ones for the sedan. So if I was to click sedan driver, you can see it's all going to be working and pre-set up. And this actually will work now. So if I was to hit play, we could get into the car. It'll totally work. But we're going to set this up sort of from scratch just to show you. So instead of selecting sedan driver, I'm just going to select slot behavior mount. And if you expand slot behavior mount, there's a whole bunch of stuff you want to fill out. The interact behavior to run is actually not GA interact mount. There's a child of that called mount vehicle, which has just a couple of extra little tweaks for the vehicle. So you can actually subclass these and do whatever you want. Basically, we've added a little bit of code that when you're getting into the car, we just want to put the handbrake on so that the car doesn't roll away while you're trying to get in it. So that's basically why we've subclassed this. So we're going to make sure to select that special mount vehicle one. And next you will need the get out transform. Now this is the offset that we need to get out of the car at. And again, your animator will provide this to you. So we're going to go to our car interaction, and I'm going to, again, just steal that one from the driver's seat side. So get out transform, I'm just going to copy that. Car interaction. And I'm going to paste in that get out transform. This is where the character exits the car. This is how our animator has set up our animation. So that's where the character needs to go to. Now, when you come into the car here, you're going to see a bunch of completely garbage animations here. It's going to be set to interact chair by default. That's kind of the default. Actually, this should work. It'll just look a bit stupid. So when you try and get into the vehicle, your character, yep, you can see they play that like interact chair. It also doesn't warp us to the correct seat because we need to input the seat socket, which I will talk about as well in a second. So in order to plug in those correct animations, we're going to go to car interaction. And if you scroll down to all of these montages, you need to kind of fill these out. So character get off mount, I'm going to search for driver. And you can see there will be one called car get in driver. And if we browse to this, they're actually in this folder here. Character, Lyra, mannequin, animations, interacts, get in car. And so we'll plug in the get in car. Actually, that's the wrong one. Get on mount is get in car. And there should be a get out driver. We're going to plug that in as the get off one. I'm going to leave the carjacking ones for now. We can plug those in later. Car open door get out. That's actually correct already. I think these car ones are actually correct by default. So those should be fine. The last thing is you need to tell it what seat socket. So if you actually click on this car and open up the car mesh, there will be a bunch of sockets that define where the character should get into the car. So if you click on seat underscore driver, you can see there's already a socket in the correct place. So I'm just going to copy that socket name and I am going to plug that in. Seat socket name, seat underscore driver. You can also define whether it's a passenger seat. So if it is a passenger seat, you will not be driving the car. It will skip the part where it possesses the car basically. But in this case, we're going to leave that unchecked because we want to drive the car around. And this should pretty much be enough to get us going at least. So I'm going to save, hit play. And if I come over to the car, I should now open the door, get in the car, and hopefully possess the car. Yep. And I can drive it. And so that's kind of the process you would go through if you wanted to actually set up a car. Obviously, where I was plugging in all our animations, you would plug in the custom ones that your animator has sent to you. The other thing is, and we'd recommend look at these animations and how we've configured them, because you will need to set a couple of things up, like the get in animation. You can see it has this motion warping added to it. You'll want to copy and paste that into your animation because we use this motion warping to make your character get into the car and so on. So it's just a good idea to sort of set your animations up with the same, settings set that we do in our ones. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to get your NPCs driving around. So often during missions, quests, and so on, you will want NPCs to drive somewhere. You might want them to drive the player somewhere, and so on. So the best way to actually see this, if you don't want to sort of go through this entire tutorial, is go to the Learning to Drive quest. So if you search for Learn, you should find it here. If you open this up, this is the quest that gets Felix to drive you to the camp. And so if I was to look at Felix driving, you can see basically what this will do. It'll add this goal to Felix to make him start driving. And we also lock the player from getting into the car because we want Felix to get into the car driver's seat. So we kind of lock you out of being able to use the driver. And yeah, you can look at this quest to see how it works. But we're going to make a different NPC drive around and show you how to do it. So I'm going to select this spawn here over in the main area. And there's this NPC called Luca. And I'm going to make it so that Luca drives, somewhere over here. So let's do that. Let me show you how to do it. I'm going to hold shift and pull Luca over here. And the reason is if I press, let me find where the setting is. Before I actually mess around with the settings, I'm going to move Luca to where I want him. So we'll put him over here. And if you open up Luca, just remove, Luca has a trigger set that makes him have like a schedule where he sits down and stuff like that. We're going to remove that from Luca. Because I want Luca to basically drive to the location. Now, if you go to the drop down here and go to Developer, Zone Graph, you can turn on the Zone Graph drawing. And it doesn't seem to do that nice of a job of it, in my opinion, in 5.6. But you can see that here's the Zone Graph. So these are a bunch of footpaths that have been laid out using the Zone Graph. But there are also roads that have been laid out using the Zone Graph. So if we search for the NPC spawner and we select the main hall one, we've moved Luca over here. We're going to get Luca to basically drive to the area. So if I click on Luca's spawn, there we go. It'll be a little bit grayed out by default. But we're going to go to optional goal. And we can actually add a goal to any NPC when they spawn in automatically. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to optional goal and add a drive to destination goal. This is a goal that we give you out of the box with narrative, and it lets NPCs drive somewhere. And the way that it works is it uses the zone graph to figure out how the NPC should pathfind to the location. So basically, if I click on this zone graph here, we have this forest zone shape. This is marked as a road. Now it actually says invalid, but it does still work. We'll make sure that's fixed in the next version. But it's going to look at where the NPC is trying to go, and it's going to see if it can find a road that takes us there. So basically, if Luca is standing over here, and I tell him that he needs to go, let's just say, where should we go? We could try and go here, for example. Luca is smart enough to look at that road and know, okay, that road actually leads to where I'm trying to go. So if you're telling an NPC to go somewhere, definitely make sure that like there is a road that actually leads to where they're trying to go. Otherwise, the pathfinding will fail. But we're gonna add that for Luca. So we're gonna make Luca drive and then get out where these logs are. So what I'm going to do is I'll click on one of these logs just so I can grab this location of the log. I'm going to copy that and we'll come back to Luca's spawn. So he is over here. And to get him to drive there, I'm going to click on his spawn. I'm going to go to that optional goal and I'm going to plug in that position as the destination. So Luca knows he needs to drive to this location. Now, by default, we have it so that you have to actually select a car for him to drive in. You could modify it and make him just choose any random car that was around. But what we're going to do is pick actor and click on one of the cars here. So we're telling Luca, hey, when you spawn in, add a goal to drive somewhere, give him the car to drive, and tell him where to go to. You could also make him wait for the player to get in, for example, before he took off driving. So if you were to select default player, that would make him wait for you. And I'm going to give it a really high score just to make sure he absolutely does that, because he might do some other things. And if we hit play here, Luca, when he spawns in, is going to get in the car. I'm going to look at him and press the semicolon key. And you can see on the left-hand side all of his activities that he has. And he's going to try and drive to this destination that we gave him. And I'm actually going to follow him in a car here and make sure he does it. But you can see here when we're looking at his goals, he's selecting the drive to destination goal. That is the goal that he wants to act on. And you can see that he's getting out. Hopefully I haven't gotten my car stuck here. And basically, once the NPC gets close enough to where they're trying to drive to, they will get out and walk the rest of the way. So you can see here, he's gotten out of the car. Now, I think what's happening here is he's trying to walk, but because I provided the literal exact location of the log, it's basically failing to move him because the location's inside the log. So if we were to move it sort of over here, he would actually run to the final location. So you can see that it's, you know, pretty powerful little system here. And we're working on adding traffic as well in future versions. So you'll actually be able to simulate large amounts of traffic and have them driving around as well. And that will just open up even more possibilities for games that people can make. And again, if you watch the AI video, you'll learn a lot more about how the AI are doing all of these things that we're telling them to do. But if you look at the goal drive to destination, if you want to see how that works, you can search for a goal drive to destination and browse to it in the content browser. And this is the behavior tree for it. And it's actually pretty simple, right? We make sure that we're in a vehicle. If we are in a vehicle, we drive to the location, and this is the task that handles driving somewhere. And you can see that if we are not in a vehicle, we will try and walk to the vehicle and get into it, or we will try and walk to the sort of final destination if we're within walking range. If I go back to Luca, I'm going to try that wait for passengers option. So I should be able to plug in default player. And now when we hit play, we should see that Luca should not drive the car until I'm in the car with him. So this is very useful for quests where an NPC needs to drive you somewhere, but they need to be waiting for you. So you can see he's just going to hang out. And at this point, your quest would, you know, be saying, hey, get into the car or whatever. And when you get into the car, you get right in. Now, I want to show you a really cool feature that we actually disable by default because I think it would cause a little bit of confusion, but you can turn it on if you want it. And that is carjacking. So carjacking is such a cool mechanic. And I'm going to show you how to use it today. So if we go to the sedan driver, you'll notice it has some carjacking options. And if we open up the sedan driver, you can see the parent class is this mount. And it's got this function in it called is stealable. And this defines whether or not you can steal it. And you can see that by default, we actually don't let you steal vehicles, just because I think it would be quite confusing. But if you do want that behavior, you can actually do whatever checks you want, like, you know, check whether the given driver is friendly or not, whether they're a pedestrian or not, or whatever, and allow for a carjack. And so I'm gonna plug that in and allow for carjacking here, and you'll see how this works. It's pretty awesome. So we'll go ahead and jump into the game. Luca is going to get into the car, and usually if I walked up to the car and pressed E, it would get me into the passenger. But this time, because the driver's slot is going to be considered stealable, I will be able to carjack Luca from the car. So let's go ahead and try this out. Isn't that just the coolest thing? So awesome. And Luca, because he has an interaction goal, he will try and take the car back off me. So watch this. How freaking cool is that? You can see we don't have this enabled out of the box, just for the sort of confusion it would cause. And hilariously, Luca is waiting for me to get into the car, even though he just carjacked it. So you definitely want to set this up properly. And I think in future, when we add traffic and pedestrians and stuff, we will allow you to carjack sort of random drivers, but not important NPCs. But for now, we've just kind of left it out of the plugin. But by all means, if you want it, you can feel free to hook that up. Carjacking is definitely more of an experimental feature, but it's pretty damn awesome. And yeah, we're really proud of it. It's a cool feature. The last thing I'll talk about actually is this is again pretty experimental, but we do have ragdolling in the plugin, and we have set these vehicles up that when they hit you, they should deal damage and they should ragdoll you. I'm going to show you that here. We're going to go to Luca. I'm going to turn myself off as a wait for passenger, so he'll just drive off. He won't wait for me. And I'm going to come over here. And this time, when I hit play, I'm going to spawn over here, and I'm going to let Luca hit me with the car. And essentially, this should hopefully, if everything goes well, it should ragdoll me and also deal a little bit of damage. And there you go. And the reason it didn't deal damage actually is because in the demo level here, we have set your player up to be invulnerable by default. To turn off invulnerability, you can just go into the default player and remove the invulnerable tag here. And this will allow Luca to actually damage me. Gonna hit play. By default, NPCs don't have sort of collision avoidance and stuff. They will hit you with the car. They will not slow down. You can see it actually took me out. So you can tune the damage curve of the car. And to learn a little bit more about the car and how it works, it is such a big system that you are going to want to, look at and understand the source code. You can do that by just, jumping in, having a look at BP vehicle base, and just seeing some of the stuff we've done here. There is a lot of like blueprint boilerplate stuff. None of this is particularly complicated, but there is a fair bit of logic in here that we will try and move out of there. Just another fun thing that I forgot to talk about is that mounts actually save to disk as well, and like any actor, they can be saved. So if I was to drive a car over here, I'll just leave it behind this building. The color and all the attributes about the car that you could ever want will be saved. So if we come around here, I'll save into slot 1. Quit to the menu. When your player opens the game, they can load back into their save, and their vehicle will be right where they left it. Obviously, we wouldn't recommend saving every single car on the map, but you have the ability to save the player's car if you want to do that as well. Someone in the community asked about horse riding, and I want to show you sort of how you would do something like horse riding with the mount system. It's basically the exact same method. The only difference is for a horse, I would use the narrative NPC as the base class, and that way you can have character movement rather than wheeled vehicle movement, which doesn't really make any sense for a horse. So I've set one up here using an NPC spawner. I've made a custom horse NPC. There's a special horse appearance that I'm using. I'm not going to go too deep into the implementation because it's probably going to be fairly specific to your game as well. But that's just how I threw it in here. And I just want to show you that it's possible. Now, I will say the animations don't match up with the horse at all. It's going to look very jank. So just warning you in advance, it's going to look jank. But this is at least the proof of concept that you can do it, right? So when I walk up to the horse, it's going to play the car door open and so on. But you can see like the system works with any type of character, right? It's not, it doesn't limit you to just using vehicles. You can see I can walk around on this horse. I can change my camera perspective. And the horse movement is, again, it's jank because I don't really have proper animations for this. I just want to show you that it is, in fact, doable. And you really would use the same setup, right? You would have this mount, you add the mount interactable to it, you use the interaction slots, and you use the GA mount. And I've subclassed this again with a mount horse instead of mount vehicle, but it is doable. It is not something that we natively support, so if you're a beginner, this is going to be a lot harder to add. You really need to have some experience to add something like this. In future, though, I would love to have a horse be added as one of the default sort of mounts that comes with the plugin. So yeah, hopefully we can do that in the future. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for driving and mounts. It's a very complicated system. If you have any more questions, please reach out in the Discord and we will do our best to help you. This is an amazing feature and we're really proud of it. It's a pretty awesome one, and yeah, we had to put a lot in to get this in this release. So we hope you guys love it as much as we do. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.